Hi, I'm Dr. Joni, creator of the 4 cornerstones of staying young and stress-free and founder of Harmony Health, where I teach burnt-out, high-performance professionals, executives, and athletes how to let go of stress so that they stay young, energetic, brain healthy, and happy, because I can't stand watching you suffer, especially when it really is unnecessary. Hi! Thank you for all your comments and questions. I really appreciate them. Keep them coming. I'm back as your doctor and teacher on video. So welcome to the 3rd video. Today I'm going to be telling you 3 stories about clients who have succeeded in letting go of their stress, their worry, anxiety, their anger, their frustrations, so that they can finally live, truly live, and appreciate their lives again. So in story number 1, I'm going to talk about Michelle. Michelle is a trained journalist. She's a mother of 2 and the wife of an executive. And so she has a very busy life. When she first walked into my clinic, she told me about the terrible pain that she had in her arms, in her forearms, and in her hands. And everyone knows how important the hands are, right? I mean, you can't drive without your hands. You need to cook with your hands. You even need to type with your hands. Almost everything that you do every single day, when you think about it, has a lot to do with your hands. And so with her hands were weak and they were hurting. They hurt her so badly that they actually affected her sleep, and they woke her up at night and she'd be crying. That's how bad it was. And it wasn't only that, she also had a lot of food sensitivities. In fact, by the time that she got to me, she was taking a whole bunch of supplements. And that was because she could hardly eat anything. So she was basically on a subsistence diet by the time that she got to me. And on top of that, she had always had these digestive problems. So any old thing would actually upset her stomach. And she also had cravings. She had cravings for pasta and that sort of thing, which wasn't necessarily a good thing because she's a blood type O. And so she had all kinds of imbalances. But the thing is that she was extremely unhappy. She also had a very important goal in her life at that time. She was going to go on a trip to Mount Kilimanjaro. She planned to climb to the peak of this thing. And so it was very important that she get into really good shape to do this. I mean, she had already been working out, but the thing is that her body was saying no when she wanted it to say yes, because, well, she didn't have enough energy, right? It was all pent up. So we had to find a way to release all that stress and all that pent up frustration, anger, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is that she soon realized that her symptoms had all started when she was very young, as a little girl, and it stemmed a lot from not being able to stand up to other people's ideals, I guess. And that's really hard on a person. It's really hard on any person, and especially when you're growing up with it, it's really hard, because then you don't let go of these things. You believe what other people think of you. So we worked a lot on her worries and anxieties, and you learned how to do this earlier in the video series, and it was one of the things that I used in order to build up her self-confidence, because that was what was missing. It was all about helping a person feel good again about themselves, to feel good about life. And she worked really hard at it, and all the credit, of course, goes to her, because she did work hard on it, because she wanted to get to Mount Kilimanjaro, and she really wanted to be on that mountain. And so it was just a couple months that we had worked, and she was back at eating her blood type O diet. And it was kind of ironic, because she said that all of a sudden she had all these choices in the world, and it was actually, kind of funny. It was actually better before, when she didn't have so many choices, but now she has so many choices, and it was great. Okay, and her hands, the pain in her hands went away, everything dissolved, and energy was flowing, and she was pain-free. The thing is, though, is that that trip to Mount Kilimanjaro was a big deal to her, and she made it there. Now, she got to a certain point on that mountain, and then she got altitude sickness. She got so sick, and she wanted to go up that mountain so badly, but it wasn't meant to be, I guess, because she got so sick that it was absolutely detrimental. If she had forced herself to go up there, that she might have died. And the thing is that she suddenly realized what was really important to her. And what was really important to her was her family, her kids, her husband. And she wanted to be there, alive, to be with them. And that was a moment of truth for her. And even though she was very unhappy and disappointed about coming back and not being able to say that she had actually gone to the peak of that mountain, she really had indeed climbed a mountain. And she really did get to a place where she needed to be. Because as she told me later, when they finally brought her down from the mountain, she had an incredible experience with the villagers that she wouldn't have ever have had. And it was indeed a wonderful experience. Now, the thing is that she became strong again. And that was the most important lesson that she could have learned, that she wanted to live. And that is the most important lesson to learn. She had dreams, and she could achieve them, and now she could move on and have more dreams and achieve more. In my second story, it's about Derek. Now, this was a young guy who had already retired in the prime of his life, when most people would never even would only be thinking about it, or maybe dreaming about it. He was already doing it. But the thing is that he had a number of issues that really stopped him from enjoying what he was doing. And really what happened is that one of his doctors actually told him that he had found these cancer cells circulating in his bloodstream, and he told him to get ready to die. And so that precipitated a whole bunch of decisions and then actions that he took in order to prepare for that. But I don't think he actually really believed it because, well, for one thing, he was looking for help. Now, what he was looking for help with was to let go of the anger and the rage that he had. And maybe what that MD had told him had precipitated how badly things were going. And it made him stand up and listen to what was going on in his life. So probably, more than likely, all the decisions that he made all along the way were the right ones. But the thing is that he knew that all this rage and anger was taking all the joy out of his life. And he really wanted to have that joy back. I mean, he had a great sense of humor. That was quite evident from our first visit with each other. But the thing is that he really wanted some concrete help because he did look for help before. And it was with a psychotherapist. And what this person told him didn't resonate because he felt that she was already jumping to conclusions to what he was doing with this rage, and he wasn't sitting well with that. Plus the fact that she was asking him to go and read books. He wanted some hands-on help. He really wanted some concrete tools and strategies. And so after a while, he found out about me from his brother-in-law, who was a client of mine, and we started to work together. Now in his case, besides getting over the rage, he also had really bad acid reflux, and he also had a terrific addiction to coffee. At work, he used to line up once or twice a day for coffee to satisfy his cravings. And he also had a foot operation, which was turning a couple of his toenails green. And the thing is that the foot was still hurting as well, so the surgery didn't solve his problems. And plus the fact that he was also not sleeping through the night very well. In fact, he was waking up quite frequently to go to the bathroom. He used to call that the old man thing. So we had a number of issues that we needed to work on, but the primary reason for all of this happening to him was that rage and anger that he wasn't expressing in a healthy way. So that was really the core and the primary reason for all his other issues. And so as we worked through the weeks and the months, it became quite evident that he was working really hard at what I was teaching him. And again, you know, I worked on worries and anxieties, but also on other exercises that helped him to take control of his life, know what his responsibilities are, and really look at his life to see that things were really that good. And so through the weeks and the months, things improved to the point where when something happened, he actually stopped and thought about it before he reacted. That was a major breakthrough. It was an incredible story when he told me about what he was doing. And then he was able to sleep through the night in very large, long blocks of solid sleep. And he didn't even need to get up to go to the bathroom anymore. So it was really terrific. And so the foot pain was gone. His toenails went back to normal. His acid reflux, he could come off his meds. And, you know, he just had to be a bit careful about what he was eating. But really, it was because he was feeling good about life and himself again. And yes, the coffee cravings also were under control and disappeared. He was able to just treat himself to one time a week when he and his wife would spend some special alone time together, a nice weekend date. So it was wonderful. In my third story, Mary is an MD who runs marathons. Now, she came to me because she was on edge. She was worried and anxious, but she didn't really think she was worried or anxious, and she didn't know why she was worried and anxious. So there was quite a few things that needed to be identified and helped. And she also wanted to lose 20 pounds. And being as fit as she is, I really didn't think she needed to, but I didn't say very much at the time. So just waited to see what was going to happen. But the worry and anxiety, the being on edge, waking up at night and wondering, what have I forgotten? You know, the telephone would ring and she hit the roof. You know, that's how on edge she was. And so she did go to her MD at her annual checkup, and she told her doctor about what was going on, how she felt, and her MD told her, well, okay, plan some time off for yourself, tell your kids it's mummy time, lock the bathroom door, draw a hot bath, and soak in it. This is the usual advice that you get, right? So the problem was, though, is that the kids kept trying to talk to her through the door. They kept knocking on the door, trying to get her attention because, well, it just drew them more to her. It was the funniest thing, except that she'd be sitting in the bathtub and thinking about all the things that she should have been doing, and she wasn't doing them. So instead of getting more relaxed, she was actually getting more stressed out because she couldn't stop thinking about what she needed to do, right? Some of the other advice that her MD gave her was, you know, take up yoga. This is also a very common suggestion. And now she's got quite a few children, so she already had a very busy schedule. So she just couldn't see herself adding another thing to her schedule. It was just too much, so she refused to do that. And that's when she decided to come see me. So in Mary's case, she really needed to identify what those things were that caused her to worry. And so I had her go through that exercise that I taught you in the last video. And then she realized that it was just one or two of those things that really mattered. Okay, so she focused on those. And when you focus on those one or two things, and then you learn how to focus on the solution, on finding solutions, then you start getting creative. And you also start letting go. because you realize that you don't have control or are responsible for all these things happening. So she definitely relaxed, and when she relaxed, she got more creative, and she started seeing the solutions, and she started coming up with her own ideas, which was great, because that really is the whole point of this work that I do, is that you find your own solutions in the end, because you're not going to be with me forever, right? So she was really doing a great job at solving her own problems. And the thing about Mary is that she also had these very strong sugar cravings, which she would go out of her way to drive to a convenience store in order to pick up a treat. It was amazing, okay? Because she really had to have that treat. So I worked a lot with her in order to build up her self-esteem, because here was a woman who is very accomplished, actually very successful, had a great life, a great house, a great husband, great kids, and yet she didn't feel like she deserved it. It wasn't integrated into her psyche that she had done all these great things. You know, going to medical school, getting more schooling, renovating the house, you know, like all these things were what she did. And she wasn't giving herself enough credit. So we really worked on raising her awareness about all the great things that she did. So in the end, she was going on a tropical trip, and I mentioned, you know, the weight loss thing, and she said to me, you know what, I like my body. It's going to be okay. And I knew she had truly turned a corner, because she really was fit, and she really was the right weight for her height, because she is a tall woman. And she looks great, and I always thought she did. So now she finally saw that in herself. And her sugar cravings, they disappeared. They went away. So in each one of these cases, in each one of these stories, every one of these people had a craving of some sort. Now, in Michelle's story, it was about pastas and simple carbohydrates. So in Chinese medicine, the energetics of food tells us that these carbohydrates are actually energetically sweet. Now, when it comes to Derek's cravings for coffee, it was the same thing. It was all the, you know, stuff that's added to these coffees to make them nice and sweet and tasty. And of course, Mary had a very typical sugar craving for chocolate and treats. So those were all cravings for something sweet, to bring something externally from the outside into the body, so that we can finally, at least briefly, feel good about ourselves for a short time. Now the thing is, it's very short-lived, isn't it? And because it's very short-lived, then you get into the habit of wanting more of it. And that's why these cravings can become addictions too, amazingly enough, right? Because the more we want to feel good, and we're bringing it in from external, from the outside, the more we want it inside our bodies. But the thing is, it's only a temporary solution, because it doesn't work on a long-term basis. And the reason why they let go of those cravings was because they started to feel good and sweet on the inside. They finally found out that they were deserving. They finally saw that their life was actually pretty good. They finally saw that they were actually pretty good, and that everything really was sweet. But they had to learn how to dig it out and get it into the sunlight to see for themselves. And that's when the cravings stopped. So that is the secret to sugar cravings. The sugar cravings come because you don't see the truth about yourself. You believe other people's lies and opinions. You believe in whatever circumstance is around you. But in order to let go of those sugar cravings, you have to look and not even that deeply, but just to really truly pay attention to what is in your life. That's what it's going to take to prevent sugar cravings and to also let go of them. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it added value to you. Please keep those comments and questions coming. I'll be checking on them consistently. This is Dr. Joni. Be well, be happy, be you. Expect the next video in a couple of days. Talk to you soon. Bye.